Hola and welcome to Los Revolucionarios, a program devoted to the work of Latinx artists who are changing the face of opera on stage and off. My name is Sandra Raquel Bengochea, and I am the Executive Director of Opera Cultura. Today, I am so excited to welcome Baritono Omar Alejandro. With his flexible voice and multi-genre versatility, Omar Alejandro has gained acclaim in both opera and the world of mariachi. Omar studied voice at Cal State Fullerton, earning a bachelor's degree in vocal performance. He also received his master's degree in vocal performance from Boston University. Operatic role highlights include the Major General and the Pirate King in Pirates of Penzance, El Dancaero in Carmen, Giuseppe in The Light in the Piazza, and the Marquis in La Traviata. As a mariachi singer, Omar has become a viral content creator with over 89,000 followers. His videos aim to both educate viewers on the rich history of mariachi, as well as to make mariachi music more accessible and relatable to younger audiences. He has performed at various mariachi festivals throughout the United States and maintains a busy performance schedule as a touring artist. Omar has released 3 singles and is slated to release his first EP in early 2024. Upcoming engagements include The Miller in El Gato con Botas and Gomez in Zorro with Opera Santa Barbara, as well as a solo recital of Mexican art song and mariachi with Pacific Opera Project. I'm also so excited to announce that Omar will be our featured guest artist at Opera Cultura's holiday sing-along event, Cantar con los Reyes, on January 6th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Trinity United Presbyterian Church in San Jose. Please visit our website at www.operacultura.org to get your tickets and learn more about this festive event. So what began this mariachi journey for you? When did it start? How did it happen? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah,
I already know what you're going to say. I want to
yeah,
hear.
right. So it was kind of 3 things that sparked this new path for me. And so I was studying at Boston University. I was getting my master's there during the pandemic, and of course, COVID was a really hard time for everybody. We all kind of had time to. We were all kind of forced to sit with ourselves and rethink a lot and reflect. Um, and for me, the first thing was that my last semester, I had this amazing class about the musics of Mexico with my professor, Professor Juarez, and he was a conductor. He is a conductor from Mexico and has a lot of connections and a lot of experiences with living composers and things like that. And so I got to learn a lot from him. Um, Not only about the composers that he's worked with, but we even went into like what we think the music of the Mayans and the Aztecs sounded like, all the way up to like listening to Mexican heavy metal and like things that are happening right now. So that really was sort of, it was just cool to feel represented in a class. Like I'd never really been in classes in my education where it was like, oh, this is music from like the country that my family comes from. So that was really special to me. Um, the other thing was being in Boston, there aren't a lot of Mexican people there. And yeah, I didn't realize how different how yeah, different I would feel having grown up in California my whole life. I guess I never really thought much about it or gave it much thought until I was there. And then I was like, oh, like I do feel a little bit out of place. I do feel a little lonely in this specific way that I'd never felt before. And so I did feel like a yearning for home and for I don't know for the food that I grew up with and the language that I grew up with. There's still a lot of Spanish speakers in Boston, of course, but just hearing maybe the type of Spanish that I grew up with. And um, the last thing was that my grandma, who helped raise me, my I was raised a lot by my grandparents and great grandparents because my 2 parents were always working, working the strawberry farm, and then they both had multiple jobs actually. And so it was kind of a group effort to raise me as a child. So I still see my grandparents as my second parents. And my grandmother passed away of cancer, unfortunately, like I think like 3 days before I moved back from Boston. So that was really, really difficult for me.
Oh,
And yeah, it was really hard. And when I got back home, I saw that she had left, or they told me that in her will, she had left money to have a traje de charro made for me, which is, the suits that the mariachis wear. Apparently, she'd always wanted to see me in one. And I thought that was just so, I mean, obviously I was so taken aback and really overwhelmed by that. And also I was kind of like, oh, like, why didn't you just tell me in print? Like, I would have done it, I think
oh, le dio
sometimes.
pena.
Le dio pena, yeah. And I was, when I was talking to you about this the other day, so I feel like sometimes maybe grandmas don't want to impose, or like they don't want to, put their own things on you. But I wish you would have told me earlier. But anyway, that's beside the fact that she left that gift for me was really special. And kind of coming back from those two other experiences that I had just mentioned, I think that just really cemented things for me um, that I wanted to connect to this music for myself and for my own healing. And I feel like it just kind of like the floodgates opened, and like this deep love and like desire to connect with this music tradition just, I don't know, it just flooded in, and then it was all I could think about. So that's kind of how it's been for the last almost 2 years.
It's an and what an amazing journey. I see that you got a video that came out that got 1 million views on TikTok. That's how I got to know you.
Yeah.
Who is this person that's talking about mariachi and making it so accessible? And it's like this incredible educational component to your
Hmm.
TikToks, which are, and your, of course, your personality. It's so sunny and endearing. Congratulations on that. It's just so amazing, and I champion what you do. It's so important, especially for us here at Opera Cultura.
Well, yeah, I didn't grow up with opera at all. My parents are strawberry farmers. There aren't really any musicians in my family, and now there are. Now there's more, but for a while I was the only one. And so for me, my love of music came really late. It didn't come until community college. I didn't have music in like my K through 12 education. When I went to high school, there was a program, but there was a music class, but it was an after school kind of thing. And my family was always working, and I would help them work, so I could never really do it. So it wasn't until I got to community college, Cabrillo College. Shout out to you guys, and I needed to take some electives to round out my units. I had become interested in my last couple of years in learning how to play guitar in the last couple of years in high school. And so I was like, maybe I'll take a music class. But I decided to take a singing class instead, just because I was like, well, I don't know anything about singing. And I took the class. I realized I couldn't match pitch. I was really frustrated, and I was like, I'm gonna get this kind of out of sight, like I'm gonna get it. And so then I took the class. I got a little bit better, and then I decided to retake it again, and the next semester take the next level. And this thing that kind of started out as me just filling up units for my general education turned into something that was a genuine love. And it was really at Cabrillo College that I got introduced to classical music. And then slowly from there, opera started, coming in and trickling in. And at Cal State Fullerton is when I did my first opera production, when I transferred there for my undergrad. So
Wow. So what was that like? I mean, it sounds like you just crammed in a lot of things there in trying to like match pitch. And then, of all things opera, and your repertoire includes, like the repertoire for mariachi that's sung by mariachi groups. That how is that? I mean, I have so many questions. How were you able to overcome like a matching pitch?
well, I it was hard, but I would say so on a technical level. One of the practice rooms had this thing called the pitch master, and it was this machine that you could sing into, and it kind of had a little dial, and so you could choose a note, like you could choose an A natural or something, and then you could sing into it, and it would show you visually how far away you were from A natural, if you were too high or if you were too low. And so because I couldn't really hear the difference too well, being able to see the difference and just kind of going like and then like holding it there, I kind of did that for a bit. and I forget how long it took, but I think that kind of slowly started helping me get it because of the visual aspect. And then as far as just sort of like how I didn't how I didn't like give up or that kind of thing. I've always been a pretty like tenacious person, and I think I have my family to thank for that. You know, being the child of immigrants, and I'm sure you can relate like to overcoming adversity and sort of not giving up, echándole ganas, that kind of thing. So I do remember thinking like, okay, after everything my family's done, I can learn how to like I can learn how to match pitch. Like I got this. So that was sort of the background as well for that.
That is incredible. That is an amazing story that you used a pitch master. I've also heard about like applications on phones that
Yeah.
to help you match the pitch. And the fact is that you know, in right community college, junior college, that's when you conquered your ability to match pitch and then become the singer that you are now. Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible.
Thank you.
So what in you know all the operas that you've done so far, what has been your favorite role? And to add to that, what is your dream role?
Oh, those are good questions. My favorite role, I'll be honest, is Papageno every time that I've done that I've done the role. Not only does it fit really well vocally for me, and um, it's a good act like comedic acting piece, which I really like as well. But I sometimes feel like for me, when I'm doing a role, I feel like I really live in the shoes of that person. And sometimes I feel like I kind of carry them with me throughout the days that I'm doing the performance, just like little aspects of their personality. And I think that, you know, Papageno is so he's so childlike in the best ways. Like he in some bad ways too, but like overall he just has like this purity to him, you know, and this love of life and this want to love, this really this big yearning that I think comes from like a really human place. And so I think that whenever I've played Papageno, just like those months, you know, kind of living with his personality a little bit, like I don't know, it's just like it's a nice person to live with, I guess, and to embody. They're very fuzzy and very just like the things that I love about humanity, I guess, kind of come out in Papageno. And my dream role would be to sing Peleas from Peleas en Horizon, the Debussy opera. I
Oh,
yeah, yeah. I've always adored that opera, and I got to see it at LA Opera earlier this year for the first time. It never gets programmed, um, but I think that would be incredible. And I consider myself a baritone Martin, which is the voice type that it's kind of like almost extinct, but there's still a few roles in it. And Peleas is sort of the big one where it's sort of in between tenor and baritone, and it's very flexible and you know kind of light and floaty, a lot of mixed voice kind of stuff. And I love the story. It's such a beautiful story as well, and the music.
have you ever heard of the story of La Llorona? If so,
Oh,
tell
definitely.
me about it.
For sure. Well, I'm not much of an expert on La Llorona, but because I think like there's a lot of different versions of the story, right? But the version that I know is that it's an indigenous woman who drowned her own kids that she had with a wealthy Spaniard after he left them as a way of like hopefully getting him back, winning him back. And then she was immediately filled with regret, and now she, you know, she lingers on in this world, looking for her lost kids, and she's kind of told us a story for kids not to for us not to go out at night and not to go near water at night, right? Because we're like Yorona might get you. She might think that you're one of her kids and steal you away into the river or to the body of water. So I grew up really scared of La Llorona for sure. It works when you have like a team of people to make sure that it remains like respectful and truthful, and you know doesn't sort of use people's experiences as like a plaything or as like an attention grab. Like there's
Right.
really I really love the attention to detail and attention to care that a lot of companies have been pushing towards now. So it's cool. I'm looking forward to having more of that.
Me too. Me too. I'm so excited that you're going to be singing for us. And thank you so much for this interview and for allowing our audiences to get to know you better. Best of luck to
Thank you
you.
so
You're
much for having.
amazing.
Thank you, Sandra. I feel the same about you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Nos vemos.
Nos vemos.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.